Hey everyone, it's Thomas here. So a friend of mine, whom I'll call Mr. Vintage, once told me a joke that I thought was funny. So among his audiophile friends in the old times, there's a saying that goes like this. If you say something bad about my wife, I'll be really pissed off at you. But if you say something bad about my audio system, I will kill you. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the photos, the videos that I received from around the world from my subscribers. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to split into multiple videos because I've gotten a lot. Now, for those of you who have sent me something already, and if you want to add a bit more, please do. And for those who have not, please also send me what you'd like to share. Now, for those of you who have this OCD personality where, for example, oh, I see the left speaker is a few millimeters different than the right speaker from the sidewall, it's okay. Just open the window and yell at the chicken that's crossing the road, all right? No need to put in the comments, but if you have something nice to say, please do. So with that said, let's start today's video. And if I've not gotten to your photos and your system yet, please be patient. I'll eventually get to it. And of course, this video is inspired by other YouTubers who have done this. And I thought it was a great idea, so that's why I'm doing the same thing. So let's start with Dean. What do we have here? Vocal, Aria, 926 speakers, 2 Emotiva XPA-1 Monoblocks, Emotiva PT-100 DAC, 2 Klipsch R110 subwoofer, Chord Epic speakers cable, Chord Epic RCA cables, Russ X-Block power block, all Audioquest power cables, DIY equipment stands made from granite. So this is what Dean wrote me, and I'm going to condense it and shorten it. The system has great synergy and sounds incredibly clean without being bright. After upgrading all the cables, I was so impressed on what the Emotiva DAC was capable of. Such a clean sound and sharp detail but softness on the vocals. I aim to upgrade the subwoofers soon to SVS to gain a little bit more low end. Recent update, I installed IsoAcoustic Isolation feed and pucks to the speaker and subwoofer. The result is wider soundstage and a lower, cleaner bass from the Aria. The subwoofers sound cleaner but not lower in frequency. As a result, the subwoofer needed to be set lower than the adjustment allowed to blend better with the areas, so I invested in a mini DSP and turned the frequency curves manually. This gave me the chance to add a little boost to the 15 to 20 Hz range, which resulted in live music sound much louder than before. And what Dean did, he linked me to his YouTube sound demo, which I'll link here. I've owned the 926, the 936 in the past, and I have to say adding the sub to the system is a great idea. One of my issues with the Vocal 926 is that the bass is fast and agile, but it doesn't have enough weight, so the sub is definitely a big plus. Now, regarding an IsoAcoustic Isolation feed, yes, my friend has them, and they mentioned it does make a significant difference. I heard it before, and it's something that I'll probably look into towards the end of my audio journey when I need to do some fine-tuning. For now, my friends, they even tried putting it underneath their tube preamp, and apparently they told me it does make a difference. So Dean, thanks for sharing your system. I think it's really clean looking. I like the covers on top of the monoblocks with the Vocal logos. I think it looks really cool. And given the fact that I've owned them in the past, these Vocals, I know how they sound, and yes, they do sound fantastic. So next, let's take a look at Alan's system. He has a few, so I'm going to read you part of the email. Now, having almost all the solid-state Marantz, I remembered a friend insisted that I try tubes. So I found a Dynaco ST70 and immediately had a visceral reaction. The sound was so smooth and 3D. Listened to it for hours, and the clear separation of vocals and instruments astounded me. Close your eyes and you can visualize Frank Sinatra standing right in front of you. Piano behind him, bass on the right, horns on the left, and this was on a 6-decade-old amp with a matching PA S3 preamp that was never restored. I wanted more and picked up a VTA ST70 with KT88 tubes, and it was better. Gain was higher and the sound seemed to be fuller and penetrated the flesh. But after many more hours, I started to notice, while great mids and clear highs, it was not as good as the solid state gear I had with the bass. Just didn't feel the extension of the bass and punch as much. Several friends told me that I needed more watts. This led me to the Mcintosh MC275 MK6. In completing the system, I was going to find a C22, but came across a C500CT and picked that up. Also picked up a pair of K-horns, but still restoring those. Haven't spent too much time with the system, but did listen to them through a pair of Heresy 2 and advanced, and I could say it was much cleaner sound, bordering on clinical. The highs were very distinct and heard more subtlety, good bass presentation, but I think it'll be much better with the K horns. So Alan, you have my dream system here, the Mcintosh 275 and the CT500. I heard it before with the Bryson 4B Cube, the CT500 and the KEF Reference 3. Sounded fantastic. I find the turntable, your Mcintosh turntable looks so cool. But I have to admit, the thing that impressed me the most was that little Macintosh thing with this really cool display. That caught my attention. So next we have the system from Gabriel. Speakers are the Acoustics 3050 with SVS PB-1000 subs, integrated amp, Emotiva BasX XPA-100, and the DAC is the i5 Micro iDSD. CD player is the Emotiva BasX CD100 also. Streamer, Raspberry Pi 3 with HifiBerry Digi Plus. Turntable is the Lenco L3808 and AT95E. Headphone is the Sennheiser HD599. So this is what Gabriel wrote me. Here is my entry-level hi-fi system, put together following advice from friends, reviews, previous experience with the brand, and finally opportunity in the used market. Speaking of what I paid for it, I think it's a balanced system. As for future plans, I dream of, say, Bucharest S400 with a new amp, and you are to blame for this, at least in parts. Seems like we have another Emotiva fan. Now, just looking at your system, I would say that this is probably a very good match. The reason I say this is because I have the Acoustics 3050i at my place, and that is a very musical speaker. It's not the analytical type of speaker. It's very smooth on the top end. And what I need to do is to pair it with gear that is a bit more forward side of neutral. Now, looking at Sean's video, I've noticed that the Emotiva gear, at least that he reviewed, is on the forward side of neutral. So therefore, I think this is a great match. Now, the Bucharest S400 with a new amp, yeah, it will sound very different than the Acoustics 3050i. And depends what you like, I'll put it that way. So next, let's take a look at Carl's system. Speakers, we have the Snell Type E2 with modified new crossovers. The turntable is a Garrard 401 with custom DIY plinth, SME 3009 tone arms, cordless cables, and ZYX R50 Bloom MC cartridge. The DAC is the Musical Paradise MPD1 MK3 with new JJ6922 tubes. The preamp is the Anthem Pre-1 with modified external tube rectifier power supply. The amp is the Anthem Amp 1 with upgraded coupling caps and new stock Telefunken EL34. It's rated at 40 watts at 8 ohm. So Carl wrote to me, I chose everything because of synergies, which I think is the most important factor in a system. The DAC I bought because of your review, and I have to say it is great for the money. I like tubes in the front end, not so much in the amps. But my Snell sounded best with all tubes gear, otherwise I have a few solid state amps, like the Quad 606, the Youngson Hito, and the Proton D1200 as well. So Carl, looking at your system, there are a few things that you own that I've also owned in the past. The Quad 606, I love that power amp. It was one of the first power amp that I tried, or at the time when I first started, that I found really smooth sounding. If I have a chance to buy it again, I would, because on the used market, they go about 500-600 Canadian. I also, of course, have the Musical Paradise with the upgraded tubes. You have to upgrade the tubes, else it's so-so. Now, I also had the Anthem Pre-1. One thing I noticed with the Anthem Pre-1, it's a bit more to the lean side or the forward side of neutral. It's a bit more on the brighter side. And I think if you pair it well with the turntable, with the Musical Paradise, and with a more vintage speaker like yours, it's a great match. And that probably comes down to what you mean by good synergy. So I listened to the sound demo you sent me, and I found your system is very full sounding. There's a lot of body to it, and it doesn't feel like a small speaker. So at least with the sound demo that I heard, it sounded really good. So thanks for sharing. Alright guys, so I'm gonna end the video at this point. Now, to those who are easily offended, meaning you don't see a carpet in front of a speaker and that drives you nuts, I'm gonna invite you to go punch a pillow instead of leaving a negative comment, because what I like to do is to encourage people to send me their stuff as opposed to be afraid to send me their stuff. So that's it. I'll see you guys next time.